The narrative around cholesterol for decades has been one of simplistic fear, a cautionary tale painted in broad, alarming strokes. For the over 60 individual, this narrative is not just incomplete, it is fundamentally misleading. Cholesterol is not a villain to be vanquished, but a foundational substance, a biological keystone. It is the essential raw material from which the body synthesizes critical steroid hormones, including cortisol for stress response and the sex hormones that support vitality and bone health. It forms the very scaffolding of every cell membrane, ensuring structural integrity and facilitating communication. Most profoundly for cognitive longevity, cholesterol is a vital component of brain tissue, crucial for forming synapses and maintaining the myelin sheaths that insulate neural pathways. The aging body, engaged in constant cellular repair and renewal, requires this building block. Outdated risk models, however, cast a long shadow. These models were largely built upon data from middle-aged populations, where the calculus of cardiovascular risk follows different rules. Applying those same rigid thresholds and alarmist strategies to a senior physiology ignores context. In later decades, extremely low cholesterol levels have been paradoxically linked in some studies to higher mortality, hinting at its indispensable role. The demonization of a single molecule obscures a more nuanced truth. The problem is rarely cholesterol itself, but the context of its transport and the overall terrain of health. This chapter establishes that core theme, moving from a posture of fear to one of understanding. For the discerning individual over 60, the journey begins not by fighting a phantom, but by appreciating a fundamental component of their own resilient biology. The goal is to reframe the conversation from eradication to optimization, recognizing cholesterol as a necessary ally in the complex project of aging well, its story waiting to be read not in isolation but within the full manuscript of one's health. A single LDL cholesterol value on a lab report exerts a powerful, often undue, influence. For seniors, this lone number is a dangerously incomplete map, pointing to a location but revealing nothing of the terrain. The critical distinction lies in the particles themselves. Imagine two trucks carrying identical cargo of cholesterol. One is a fleet of small, dense delivery vans that can easily infiltrate arterial walls, depositing their load. The other is a few large, buoyant moving trucks that float harmlessly through the bloodstream. Standard lipid panels measure the total cargo, not the vehicle type. This particle size difference, pattern A large, benign versus pattern B, small, dense, atherogenic, is a pivotal detail often missed, explaining why some with high LDL remain unscathed while others with acceptable numbers face risk. Focusing solely on this metric ignores the more potent conductors of cardiovascular risk that amplify with age. Chronic low-grade inflammation is the true accelerant, the fire that heats the pan. Measured by hsCRP, this smoldering inflammatory state makes any circulating cholesterol more likely to stick and form unstable plaque. Similarly, insulin resistance and elevated blood sugar create a corrosive internal environment, glycating proteins and stiffening arteries independently of lipid levels. For the senior, these factors often tell a more accurate story. Therefore, a holistic health profile becomes essential. It must consider blood pressure's silent strain, the protective quality of HDL, and triglyceride levels reflecting metabolic flexibility. Beyond labs, lifestyle narratives are paramount. The anti-inflammatory power of a whole foods diet, the vascular tonic of regular movement, the corrosive effect of chronic stress, and the profound metabolic benefits of quality sleep and social connection. Shifting focus from a demonized digit to this interconnected system empowers a more intelligent, personalized strategy for longevity, where cholesterol is understood not as a solitary actor, but as one player on a complex physiological stage. The discussion of medication, particularly statins, requires a clear-eyed pragmatism free from both undue fear and blind faith. For seniors with established cardiovascular disease, those who have survived a heart attack or stroke, the evidence is robust. Statins for secondary prevention are powerful tools, significantly reducing the risk of a subsequent, potentially fatal event. This is a conversation of clear benefit. The calculus becomes more individualized for primary prevention, prescribing to lower risk in someone without existing disease. Here, age and overall health context are paramount. A statin's benefit must be weighed against potential impacts on muscle health, energy levels, and cognitive function, which can be more pronounced in an older adult. It necessitates a personalized risk assessment, not a reflexive. Prescription. The most empowering step is to arrive at your doctor's office prepared with informed questions. Ask about your calculated 10-year risk score and what factors drive it. Inquire if advanced lipid testing to assess particle size is appropriate. Discuss how the medication might interact with your other prescriptions and explore a trial period to monitor for side effects. Ultimately, whether one chooses a pharmaceutical path or not, the foundation remains immutable. No pill can substitute for the fundamental habits that cultivate resilience. Purposeful movement, walking, swimming, gardening, maintains vascular elasticity and muscle integrity. A diet centered on plants, healthy fats, and lean proteins actively manages inflammation and blood sugar. Perhaps most vital is the medicine of connection. Strong social bonds and a sense of purpose are proven modulators of stress and inflammation. This holistic foundation supports every bodily system, making any subsequent decision about cholesterol management from a position of strength. The informed conversation, therefore, concludes not with a prescription slip, but with a reaffirmation of personal agency over the daily practices that build a robust and vibrant later life.